we need to put the ambience right now, you know, right there. What does she know about having a parent? Are you a parent? Are you a single mother? Like, no. The best way that I can become a mother right now, not because of pets or anything like that, because of this, I love pandas. I consider this little baby as my child. I love him very much. The other day, I was thinking about my mother. I also think about my father, but mostly my mother because she's the only one who is right now living with me. And I was thinking, I wish she could have done better things. I wish she could have raised me better. I wish she could give me all these advices. And I kept thinking and thinking and thinking. And, time passes. I was watching some TikToks, as one does, right? Whenever there's no work and whatnot, you're like, okay, I want to watch some TikToks because I deserve it. I came one specifically talking about past lives. Now, past lives, it's always been an interesting topic for me because I always think that, what am I, And the same day, ironically, I saw a video of a girl who is really famous here in TikTok, who is like talking about her past life, how that in the past life she was a wizard, and whenever she talks, everybody was like, oh my goodness, wow. I mean, back in the day, they were not really called witch. They have another term. I don't really know about the term specifically right now, but they were really into the whole astrology and the whole thing, and people really were like, oh my goodness, give me your advice, or what can you see in the stars, right? Because that actually was pretty popular back then, right? It is now, but still people demonize it and be like, oh, you believe in astrology? Yes. I'm like, oh, who gives an S if we care about that? Anyway, even if you don't really care, even if you don't know, even if you don't really believe in the past life, right? I came to across a page that the girl recommended, and I went to research it, and I started crying because all the things I listed were of me, and it's not the CMBS of like, oh, you're going to meet your love. Oh, you were a last lover one, and you were finding your lover one, so you can give me $5 in order to pay for the whole experience. No, it was actually, they told me that I was an unborn child. All right, and an unborn child is somebody who comes across in this earth right now who has a complicated relationship with her mother, and how your emotions, right, are tied to your mother. So the things that your mother, has or has experienced back in her childhood, teenage years, adult years, you are now also going to experience that stuff because the unborn child has the same feelings of remorse and whatnot of the mother who unalived them, of who the mother it came from, right? And I stopped there and I started crying my eyes out. I bawled my eyes out. Not because it was like, oh my goodness, me, but I was just thinking, like, yeah, I mean, I didn't care if that page was a scam, or, I mean, none on the page was not like telling me, like, buy, like, give me $10 and I'm going to give you like an astrology reading of your life. Like, no, it just gave me that, and I just felt so like remark on that. And now I have realized that all the things that I have been went through, and I believe that I wanted to have a better childhood. I wanted to have like the best mother, the best father out there. And I see other, like, perhaps coworkers of mine, or heck, even classmates of mine on university telling me how cool their parents are, how understanding their parents are. And I'm like, I wish. But then, like, life, it is what it is, right? And you cannot choose your parents, and your parents don't choose you. Unfortunately, that's how life is. You cannot choose your parents. You cannot just be like, you're an unborn fetus and you're like, oh yeah, see, you have to listen. Life will be boring, actually, but at the same time, it's kind of like a challenging life, because I think how now that I'm not telling you guys that I am the best emotional intelligent person. I'm not the best, all right? Because I have anger issues. I have somehow anxiety, and anxiety that leads to anger. So it's kind of like whenever I'm having anxiety attacks, I don't get like, I get like, I want to get mad. I want to like, I cannot punch people, but like, I want to do that, but I can't. So I get defensive. I mean, I used to get defensive. I'm still right now trying to mourn the anxiety, not to get not to get anxiety whenever like things stressful things happen, right? But like it has been a process. It has been a process of me trying to educate myself, trying to tell me like, listen, you're an adult now. You shouldn't do all these impulse attacks. You shouldn't do that. You should keep to yourself, relax. Those kind of things that people do like in order to like, oh, have like, so I don't have any stressful because I don't think that will help me. But sometimes when I get angry, I'm just like, I have to do this one. You'll be like, oh, but it's the same thing about stressful. Yeah, it's the same thing, but that stressful, I actually tried it and it never really worked for me. Whenever I do this, or I do this, it works. It works for me, all right? Going to the same topic, I was thinking I achieve many things. I don't get angry that much. I'm not saying that I don't get angry. I also mourn my loud voice because I have a loud voice. It's not like I get angry. I mean, I do get angry, but whenever like I get like a little frustrated, I tend to like hide. I try to get my voice even louder than it is because my voice is loud, even if I talk normally, right? With people that I know, with my coworkers. But whenever I get like excited or whenever I get frustrated, my voice gets bigger and bigger. My voice gets louder, louder, and louder. And it comes to a point that people think that whenever I get frustrated or whenever I get like that, it's because they assume that I'm shouting at them. And I have also been regulating my voice, as one does, because like nobody taught me how to, handle social situations. Nobody told me to do this, to do that, right? Because like, unfortunately, I never really had a guidance in life. All the things that I know about my body, all the things that I know about emotional intelligence, I learned it on my own. Unfortunately. That's why I came to a topic of mothers and parents. My parents not here, my father is not here, so my mother is. And whenever I see her outbursts, her anxiety attacks that are way worse than mine, I see myself in her. And at the first times, I told her, hey, listen, those things that you're doing. No, I mean, I didn't say I listened because that's the part when I started realizing the part that I have them as well. I'm like, I'll be like, not shouting, but I'll be like, hey, stop it right there, stop it right there. And then she's like, stop telling me what to do. I'm a mother, I'm a woman. You're my child, and you shouldn't have, you shouldn't question me because I'm not a child, I'm an adult. That's her always answer whenever I try to tell her like an advice. Of course, the advice that I tried to tell her at the time, I was shouting because I was frustrated because I couldn't handle my anxiety or the way that I talk whenever I was frustrated with her. So it came as I was shouting at her when I was actually not shouting. I was just frustrated on the fact of her outbursts because whenever she gets anxiety or gets like this, because when she doesn't like to wait. So whenever she's like that, she tends to get really mad. So whenever she also sleeping, So whenever she gets frustrated, she gets mad. Whenever she's like she's waiting for a long time, she's like I said, I used to shout at her like, hey, stop it. I mean, let's not go really that back of time. I believe it was this Friday that we were on a grocery store and she was waiting on a local grocery store and she was waiting for something and the shopkeeper was actually taking her time to give her to give her all the amount that she bought. And she was like and I was like, hey, like, stop it. And there was somebody like on the side of her, like, hey, stop it. stop it. Like, say, stop it, stop it. Of course, if you heard my voice, I mean, I'm going to say it how I say it because it's Spanish, like, hey, ya, basta, tranquilízate, tranquila. If you heard that voice in Spanish, you'll be like, oh, what kind of loud person it is that she's talking like that with her mother. If she was my child, if you shut up, I would have slapped the ass of her. Probably. I don't know. But, maybe, yeah, maybe, if you were my parent. But you're not my mother, so. On the same breath, when we went back to the house, I apologized to her. I'm like, hey, listen, my voice came really loud. I expected, I'm sorry. And, you know, I was like, but still, you know, the advice still continues. Like, even though I shouted at you, I shouldn't have shouted at you, but, like, you know, you should be more mindful of, like, if you're frustrated about the time, you shouldn't take it in others, right? Because that's how they operate, and you should get frustrated. You shouldn't get frustrated at that. People live their lives, right? And, no fucking way. Not fucking way. So, I don't know if you guys are hearing right now. I choose this time specifically to make a video because I thought, you know, usually my neighborhood is usually quiet. You know, usually my neighborhood is usually quiet, so I choose this time on the night because I was like, okay, on the night and the day, like people choose like to play music, but it's Saturday night, so. But I never really thought that my neighbor it was going to put some music on. That's fun. It's not like I don't like that music. I like it on music parties, but like, and music parties that I don't really go that much. I actually they don't invite me to parties because I don't know that much people. But still, I'm like, oh, what a perfect timing! The universe is really testing me out now. testing me out, testing me out. But let's go to talk with we're still going to resume on what we're talking, okay? And so ignore the voice. I cannot really do anything about it. I'm not like I don't want to confront my neighbor because sometimes he overhears whenever we're fighting with my mother, and since we both have like loud voices, like so I think he sometimes, so I should get him the benefit of the doubt right now. But still, you know, you can hear me right now. All right, you can hear me. Do you hear me right now? Okay, I mean that's the good. That's the vibe. So let's resume what we're talking about, okay? And I kept thinking about it, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know. And when that incident happened, it was on Friday, right? Today is Saturday, and last night I was thinking, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was crying not because of the incident, but I was just crying, and you know that happened. But I was keep thinking about the past, and I keep thinking how I tell her, you know, I tell my mother like to regulate her emotions, to try to mourn her emotions, right? Because I'm still in the process of that. I'm trying to become a good person. I'm not saying that I'm the best person with angel, with you know, with wings on the back, and I'm going to heaven because I'm still in the process of becoming a good person. And even if I try to get rid of my loud voice, even if I try to get rid of my anger issues, even if I try to get rid of all the bad things on my mind, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go somewhere nice, right? Because that is not my choice, right? If you think about if you really believe in heaven or whatever you believe on, if you do believe in that, that's good, that's great, right? If you do believe in the afterlife, well, we don't really decide if we're really going to go there. All right, so we don't really decide. I can sit here and say like, oh my goodness, I'm becoming best. But the reason why I'm becoming a good person is not because I want to go. It's not because I want to go there, right? It's because I just want to become a good person. That's it. You know, I'm not saying that I'm going to become full because, as you know, humans are inherently bad. All right, humans are going to make mistakes. Humans are always going to make mistakes every single day. The good way is that you have to realize a mistake that you've done and hope that tomorrow you won't, you won't, you won't repeat it again. All right, that's the good thing about it, that you make a mistake today and tomorrow you're like, okay, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And if you do it tomorrow, like, you don't know if you're going to do it tomorrow, so you don't know. But if you recapitulate, right? For example, I always say, like, oh, I'm not. Whenever she gets, like, my mother gets anxiety, I won't have an outburst. But that's what I said on Thursday, and on Friday came as yesterday, and I did have like a right. Like I said, the good thing is that you're recognizing the patterns and you're like, oh, fuck, I fuck it up again. Sorry, I did bad. I'm going to try again tomorrow. Hopefully that tomorrow, even if something happens, I'm trying that perhaps I cannot, like, maybe make stuck, but that's a good thing that you're recognizing. The thing is that my mother doesn't, even though I tried her to become like an emotional stable person, she becoming aware of her emotions, she become having, like, exercises, she having exercises or mental exercises in order for her not to become like this enraged or get like angry or yelling at and whatnot. It's like a process. And then I started crying the other day when I was thinking about it. I'm like, why should I teach her that? I was crying my ass off. Like, why should I teach her that? Why should I teach my mother that? Why should I teach somebody who brought me to that? Basic decency. That she shouldn't treat me, her daughter, this way. Why should I teach her that? Is she the adult one? The one who lives an experienced life? Why should I teach her that? And then I was thinking about, like, the past life, and I was like, I don't want that. I don't want to become a parent of my mother. And then it hit me, all like goosebumps all over my body, and I was like, maybe it is. Maybe that's the past of me. I'm not saying that that's not going to become my job, but unfortunately, since I told you, we don't choose our parents, and sometimes we have, as children, we have to raise ourselves because nobody was there. Because the parents that raised us, the parents who gave us our life, they were practically children raising children. Of course, nobody tells the parents on how to become a good parent, all right? I know there are guides out there, right? But those, unfortunately, the children that, who have parents who try to read all the guides on how to become a parent, they're never going to see this video and be like, oh my goodness, yes, I'm going to read that book. Unfortunately, if you're watching this, you're like, yeah, my mother or my father would never read. Yeah, I mean, the same. But can you blame them? The other day, like, I was thinking about the situation with my father. It's not like I had a bad situation with my father. It was more about, like, he was a good man, all right? He knew about his goals. He knew about his objectives. And he knew what he wanted me as his daughter to have, education, clothing, food, and a roof. Even if we had the worst economical situation, my father always had, like, always scraped by to get some money in order to pay for my schooling, all right? And, living in a third world country, knowing English is kind of like being bilingual, especially knowing English. Back in the day, right? All the schools who taught English were basically private schools, bilingual schools. So I'm not saying that I was in a private, high-end private schools, all right? Because they are, there is, still exists, but I was not like in a high-end private school. Like I say, my father was always there. Whenever I needed something from the school, he was there, even though he didn't have any money, right? I remember there's something like in Hispanic culture that talks about the quinceañera. If you are from Hispanic descent, you know about, like, the whole high-end, gown and the big cake and the celebration and whatnot. And I still remember that day because my father was, like, sad. All right, he's not somebody who used to cry, and but my father was sad because he sat me down, and I remember he told me, I cannot, I cannot give you a big cake. I cannot give you a gown. I cannot give you that. I'm so sorry. And I just told him like, hey, doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to spend that with mom, big sister. Can I invite somebody at least for my birthday? Can I at least do that? And he was like, yeah. How many? Like, just one. I don't have that many friends. Like, oh no, don't worry. Yeah, you can. And yes, I did invite somebody. But like I said, he was a good man. All right. The best father, he was not the best father because he had flaws. I still have scars that he left me. All right. I remember things that I'm not going to tell you what he did, but I still have trauma about the things that he did. And it's not me saying like, oh, he was a bad man and I hate him. No, I don't hate that man. I love him. He was the best father that he could manage to do. That's what I'm going to say. Yes, he was the best father that he could think of. All right. And if you have the same thing, I'm going to give you a big hug. Okay, let's give us a big hug, because even if you have a mother who perhaps was not the best mother out there, right? But she did the best things that she could do. I'm going to give you a big hug, okay? Because like I said, we don't choose our parents. We don't choose our fathers. We don't choose our mothers, our siblings, but we don't choose them. And sometimes we need to forgive and understand their past. For example, whenever my mother talks about her past, I'm like, fuck, I get it. Like, I get why you are here. I get it why you have anxiety. I get why you are like this. You recognize the patterns, okay? Because I recognize the patterns that I have, and I recognize my mother, and I'm like, oh, hey, listen, don't do that, right? Don't become this angry person, right? That's why I always tell her like, hey, calm down. And whenever I see the patterns of her childhood, and I remember her childhood, and I'm like, it breaks my heart, because I just want to have like a time machine, all right? I just want to have a time machine whenever I could go to the past and be like, I want to hug the little 7-year-old girl who lost her mother and just had her little brother. I just want to hug her. I just want to hug her and treat her to some ice cream. And her little brother as well, like, treat him some ice cream and be like, hey, everybody's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. But I can, okay? Even if it's not her childhood self, but I can treat her. I can become her mother. Even if it sounds so weird for you, alright? But I'm going to give her the best life that she couldn't have. And then maybe people will be like, yeah, you shouldn't have taken the responsibility of doing that, because the parent should give you the best life. But life is not like the way. I mean, yeah, do I think sometimes that I wish people do that for me? Yeah. And maybe I will have somebody who could treat me the way that I'm treating my mother, alright? But as right now, I just want to give her the best life. I just want her to follow the good steps, that in order for her to become a good adult, whenever we have the days to pass, right, and she doesn't get our bus, I'm like, yay, she didn't get angry. I get so happy. Of course I didn't tell her, right? I'm like, oh, so that you didn't get angry, mother. But I get happy whenever she doesn't have, like, these attacks that she always has. And I get happy. But whenever those things happen, and I'm like, man. But, we can try this and that. And also, talking about my father, I wish, like I said, he was not a good man. He was not He was not the best father out there, right? But he was my father, and I love him so much. I admire him. I admire my father for so many things that he did on my life, on the people. Actually, if you talk about my father from my family and also the people who met him, they're going to talk about the amazing things that he does, because he was a generous man. All right, even if he had a little bit of money, he always gave it away. All right, he was such a generous man. And he also had like a terrible childhood. I do remember my father telling me how he was raised, and I didn't cry at it, but I was like, no wonder he didn't know how to become a good father, right? Because I remember when I was a child, I used to tell him like, just give me the things that I want. Just give me more emotional support, because you're not giving to me. I used to cry to him, tell him like, tell me that you love me, hug me, give me the emotional support that I want. Even my mother always yell at him like, give her the emotional support that she wants. She wants emotional support from you, but you're not giving it to her. And I remember he telling me, not telling me, but telling my mother. And my mother told me next day that my father never really had emotional support when I was a child. So how could somebody give me something when he was never taught that? It's recognition patterns. Once you recognize the patterns and the past of your parents, you can treat them as kids, because they never really became adults. They have adults' body. They have the spirit of a child, or perhaps the spirit of they have the soul of a child. They have the soul of a teenager. My father, if I could describe it, he had an adult body, but he had like a soul of like a young adult. Responsible, right? But still thinking that he could try to downplay some things because he's still not mature enough, right? But still has responsibilities. He has to take care of stuff. He wants to invite everybody to to party and whatnot, and all the good stuff. But he was strict, he was serious, but at the same time he was not serious, because on the things that he needed to be serious, he was not serious about. That's what young adults are, right? Especially, I'm not saying that all young adults are like that. I'm just saying that, young adults are trying, are in the same line of living teenager years and also becoming an adult. So having responsibilities if they are going to university, or they are going to work, or they're going to do both university and working. So it's kind of like the priorities are still all over the place, right? They don't have this mindful that they need to save money in order to get housing, or they need to save money in order to get a car. No, they're like, if they're still living with the parents, they can just I'm going to spend money on this and that. That was how my father operated, okay? Until it was too late. And my mother, I think that she has a soul of a child. When you can recognize what kind of soul your mother and your father have, is when you can allow yourself to become the father or the mother that they didn't have. Okay? Does it sound cheesy? It does, actually. Does it sound kind of hard? Because they're like, I didn't expect myself to become the parent of my parents. Yeah, I didn't. But if you want to have a healthy relationship with your mother and your father, you need to do that. You need to become the parent of your parents. And even if they are somebody who like my mother, I'm going to tell you, the first step is actually pretty, if you have anger issues just like I do, or you get frustrated really shortly, it's kind of like teaching a child. All right, let's imagine yourself like whenever you interact with your parents, you are a teacher of kindergarten, or you're a teacher of primary schools. All right, so whenever they get frustrated, they're like, you're telling me this again, view them as not as an adult, view them as a child. Because there's in that adult body, in that old wrinkly body, there's a child inside. A child who was not taught, who was perhaps not given love, who was not taught the basic things of becoming a parent, or becoming a great adult, or becoming like a high-end, a good human being. A good human being. That's what I'm saying. I'm making this video because I know there's many people in the same situation as me. who want to have a healthy relationship with their parents. Perhaps you have friends who, who are cool with their parents, or you see, your friends having a toxic relationship with, and perhaps, some of your friends actually don't live anymore with the parents and just like straight up cut them off and just went with a couple to live or to rent a place with all the friends. Like, okay. And you're like, oh my goodness, like, I don't want to become that, right? So you're like, okay, no, and I'm going to do something in order for this to change, because I don't want this relationship to become more toxic than it is, right? There are many times that I told my mother, like, I think that we need to like separate each other. And she's like, yeah, okay, let's go. She's like, okay, because she always, sometimes she responds that way. Like, okay, you want me then? You want me gone? Okay, I'm going to be gone. And I'm like, I mean, technically, but at the same time, no. I want you to be gone. I don't want you to be gone, but I want the toxic side of you to be gone, not you. I love you. I really do. I love you so much. But I just hate that toxic part of you. I just want to get rid of that toxic part of you, because whenever that thing goes inside your soul, I get sad. I want to cry. And I don't want to see that. Just like you said that you hate my toxic side, I also hate your toxic side. That's why I'm telling you that sometimes we need to live apart, because your toxic side is always on the bright side. I don't see the real you. The real you is not you. People assume that your toxic side is the real you when it's not. All right, it's something created out of an environment. And I don't want that to define you. I don't want your past. I don't want your traumas to define what's you. Because I do remember my sister telling me, like, your traumas, the things that you suffered when you were a child, don't define you. You shouldn't become addicted to becoming a victim. Victim mentality is not a good approach to becoming a good adult. Yes, you can say, oh my goodness, my past was so sad. I was a victim on many occasions. Yeah, you can say that. But that won't change nothing. Becoming sad of your life, becoming angry that, life didn't treat you as fair as other people treat them. Yeah, you can become like, ugh. But you shouldn't treat that as an identity, because you shouldn't become a victim yourself. You shouldn't have like, hello, my name is Tada, victim. Like, no, that shouldn't define you. Because that's how I see my mother. I don't want people to recognize. First, I don't really care what other people think. But secondly, I don't want people to think that my mother is the only thing that she has is her victim mentality. I don't want that. I don't want people to recognize my mother as a victim, because she's not. She just was a victim of her past, all right? And she's dragging her, her trauma and all the things that she has bad, and that is valid, okay? I'm not saying that if you went from an abusive childhood, I'm not saying that you shouldn't resort to talk about it, because it's good. It's good to talk about your abusive childhood, okay? With, the people that you're trusted with. Not like a random person going in the street, like, I was being with the... No. Like, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. You shouldn't do that. You're trauma dumping somebody. Like, why are you trauma dumping somebody who doesn't even relate to you? Like, trauma dump your coworker so he can just leave you alone. No, I'm joking. Or am I not? But still, I don't want my mother, all right, to be recognized in her workplace, on her church, or all the places that I want her, all right. I want the people around her see her smile, see her the bright person, the joyful and generous person that she is, because she is that way. But since she has anxiety and thinks that everybody's thinking about her, she's always thinking about, like the other day that we went to the supermarket, we were lining up, and she was trying to retrieve something out of her basket, and then she heard like an old lady laugh. And then what do you think that happened next? She thought that she was laughing at her, And she's like, like, wait, what's going on? What happened with you? Hey, and I told her like, hey, what's going on? What happened to you? And she was like, didn't you hear the lady was laughing at me? I'm like, even if she's laughing, like, why should you care about it? It's like, oh, yeah, like, yeah. I mean, I don't want her to become this person to think about what other people think of. Just become her own person with her own feelings and have this light on her, right? This adult light that shines so bright, so much surely, so confident on herself. I want her to become that. I want people to recognize that. Even if there are people who, and I know you're going to say, but like you said, but didn't you say that you shouldn't, value people's opinions? Yes, right? But I want her also her family to see how mature she has become, because people always assume that old people cannot mature. Yes, they can. That's the reason why there's so many old people going to university. They never had the chance to educate themselves. But now that they have the money, there's many programs out there that invite old people to revisit university, to enter primary or high school labels, because unfortunately whenever they were children they didn't have the money for the tools, even for public school they didn't have the money, or perhaps the parents were like, listen kid, we need everybody to work in the family, so unfortunately you cannot grow. So they grow, just they work and work and work, and until they have like a stable job that has like a lot of bills paid for in their lives, they're like, you know what, I'm going to go out there and finish my high school or my middle school or my primary. People are always stigmatizing what old people can do. If an old person can enroll in at least in a university and get a degree, my mother can also change her immature thinking, her immature behavior. I trusted her and I believe in her. All right? Just like she believes in me. I believe in her. I love her. That's why I trust her. And whenever she makes mistakes, I also think I also put my thinking cap. I'm like, listen, you shouldn't talk to your mother like you are doing, like, oh, because she always, all right, assumes that everybody's going to yell at her, right? And I should change that. And I'm still in the process of changing. Every time she makes an immature kind of behavior with a coworker or with a family member, with me, all right, with somebody that we know, I'm like, we go back to the house and be like, hey, your behavior today was not really good. Let's try to change that, okay? Or like, tap her. I mean, whenever she does something immature, like, and then like, let's talk for a second. Then we go to somewhere private, like, the way that you responded was not good. Go apologize. I know it sounds so weird coming from my mouth since I'm the daughter of her, but unfortunately, in this life, if we want to have a parent who is emotionally intelligent, emotional intelligent, we need to teach them how to become that. Because if you are, then you can also teach your parents to do that. It's not an easy job. I'm going to tell you this. It's not if your job is a teacher, you already know that being a teacher is not an easy job. All right, you're going to see people fighting with you, insulting you whenever you wrong them. That's how you should treat people who are not there yet with their emotions. That's how you should treat, because in the beginning, when I started with my mother, she started yelling at me, insulting me, calling me all these names. And you're like, oh, that's not fair. Yeah, that's the job of a teacher, okay? Listen, let's be truthful, all right? We humans, we are selfish. And whenever we get questions about the things that we've done, heck, I even have said that whenever somebody questions my methods, even if it's a good way, I will like, I get defensive. We get defensive whenever somebody questions our kind of way of thinking. I've been doing something, right? And I thinking I'm doing the best job, all right? I'm doing the best job. I'm doing this, and that. And then somebody comes and tells you, an advice. And you take it personally. You're like, but I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best. What are you talking about? So you get defensive, all right? Instead of saying, you know what? Yeah, but we are humans, right? I'm not saying that's good, all right? I'm not saying it's good to be defensive. I'm just saying that we as humans should take responsibility, or we should take advice. Good. We should take advice. Whenever advice comes into our lives, we should have an option to take advice. And also, I'm going to put an emphasis on this, okay? I know that there are parents out there who are abusive, who were abusive. And if you think the best way that you can have a good, peaceful life is to cut them off, baby, go ahead. Baby, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you. I don't. If you watch throughout this whole video and you seem like I cannot do this because my father and my mother were abusive, they treated me bad, they beat me up, and you don't want to live that same trauma, baby, I'm not telling you to do this. The thing that I'm doing, okay? I'm just telling you because my situation is not as hard as other people have the situation with their parents, because I do know that there are people out there whose parents are actually really, and I mean are really, they are monsters, okay? You know how many cases that we have seen of child neglect that turn into unalive just because the parent was really evil, was a monster, okay? I'm not saying that if you have a parent like that, baby, it's better to cut your ties. If you want to change your name, your legal name, or your surname, go ahead, baby. Go ahead. I'm going to give you my hands. You can take them right now. Take them. You can do it, okay? Cut the ties of them. If you know that your parent is, even if you have tried always your best to try to change them or try to forgive them, but the past is always going to come back, no. If the best way of you becoming a good person is to cut ties with your parent, your mother, your father, your family even, cut ties with them. Cut ties. And don't even think about them, all right? Because I know that the past is going to come back. That perhaps a sibling is going to come and tell you, hey, do you miss your parents? Yeah, I miss them, but I also remember whenever they beat me up. So you can do it. It's not easy, all right? Because there were many times as myself and even my family that I wanted to cut ties with everybody, all right? There was a point in my life where I was like, you know what? I have a job, all right? I don't have like a big high-end job, right? But I can cover myself I can rent a little room and live by myself and then change my number, all right? And block everybody from social media. But of course, if you're in the situation, go ahead, do it, baby. Do it. I support you. And I'm doing this because we're holding hands, okay? Now we can just like take the hands out. But still, if your situation is really bad in a way that you don't even want to think about your parents, because then you like cut ties with them. We should bring a community together, all right? Talking about it. All right, my situation was not really that big, but I do know that there were times in my life where I would just go into my bed crying, all right? Because there were times where I'm not going to tell you who, but there was somebody in my family who was a straight up bully, all right? Who was a straight up bully. And whenever I tried to bring it up, and I'm like, because the thing is, I never really communicated with telling him or telling them, you should stop that. The only reaction that I had back in the day, it was crying. And then I went running out to my bedroom. And I think that they did it because they wanted a reaction, but that's what a bully does. That's what a bully will do. But you never really imagine a family member become a bully. But unfortunately, if you're living in a Hispanic household like me, I know that also I also know that there's tons of like families out there coming from Asian families, right? European families who have family members who tend to have their ways of giving you love is being a bully. And I get it. I know that's normalized, but like I don't like the kind of dynamic. So like if you're cool with it, go ahead, do it, all right? Now let's come back to with the theme of parenting your parents. If you're in the first process, I'm just going to tell you, like I said before, it's not an easy process. You're going to get insulted. All right, you're going to get insulted. You're going to get not spit at, but kind of like the thing of how teenagers revolt to parents. If you ever see a video of how sometimes on TikTok maybe or in YouTube you see like videos of like students talking back, insulting the teachers, expect that happening from your parent, from your father, from your mother. All right, because they're going to tell you, who the f are you of talking back to me? Maybe you are not respectful of telling them, you shouldn't treat others this way. Treat yourself more kindly. Don't do that to other people, because like if you don't want that treatment, don't do that to people, right? Respect others. Do what you want others to do to you, right? And even if you try, even whenever you do that, expect to get yelled at. Like I said, expect to get yelled at. Expect that they're going to insult you, that they're going to trail. Even if maybe slapping, all right? Because if you have a mother or a father who tend to be really physical with you, maybe expect that you're going to get slapped at, all right? But that's why you have to be like, whenever you're like, you're trying to confront them, not confront them, but like giving like a healthy advice, all right? You'll be like, hey, listen, the other day, when you insulted me, I don't really think that was a good way. You can do this, all right? Hey, the other day, I was thinking on the way that you yell at that person, on the shoekeeper person, and I don't really think that was the best way that you can do that. So, on the future, we can just try to relax, okay? Relax. You slowly get back off, because if there's you are slowly going off, right? And if they're quick with you, you can just do kind of handiwork, right? I also advise you, if your parent tends to get physical with you, you don't get physical with you. You don't get. I don't mean that you need to slap them. I'm just saying that if you are a man and you want to, your father to become a better father, you're like, listen, old man, I don't make the rules here, but let's take something straight. The way that you treated me, I don't like it. So let's get on, man. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying if you want to become. I'm not saying. Listen, punches in this household. I don't support punches. I'm not saying that I don't like seeing videos of like drunk people like doing this. Like I find it hilarious, alright? But my family doing that perhaps is entertainment. If somebody does it, like like an uncle and a cousin are like, it's funny, yeah. But if it's straight for you, it's not funny, okay? When it's directed to you, it's not funny, alright? So that's what I'm saying, okay? That's what I'm saying to you. Please, if you're a man and you want to like give advice to your father, and you know that your father is kind of like confrontational, you're like, oh man, please, alright? Trying to avoid it, alright? Learn some karate. Sign yourself into like defense lessons. Now, third thing, you're gonna get emotional, okay? Expect that you're gonna get emotional. Expect that you're going to get sad. You're going to cry. If you're telling me right now, but I'm not somebody who cries, I don't get emotional. Baby, why the fuck are you not crying? Tell me, why the F are you not crying in your daily life? I'm not saying that every day, but it's normal for you to cry once a week. Because let me tell you, if you're telling me, hey, I don't cry, I'm just thinking that you have something on your brain that's really bad, because crying is a natural response. And if you're like, well, listen, I'm a boy and I don't cry. Stop telling me that, stop singing to me, boys don't cry, da, 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 da. Boys don't cry. No. We're not going to recite that song, okay? But the song is Bob, okay? That song is a fucking Bob. I love that song, okay? Boys don't cry. Ba, 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 ba. Boys don't cry. Ba, 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 ba. It doesn't go that way, but that part, Boys Don't Cry, yeah, that part. That song is a fucking bop, okay? That song is an effing bop. I love that song. I'm not a boy, but I say, yeah, boys don't cry. But I don't, whenever I cry, I don't put that song because I want to get more songs, more sad songs in order to cry more because that's how masochist I am, right? In those sad situations. But like I said to you, I think that it's really kind of problematic that you don't cry just because of the past. I think it's healthy to cry, to tell your body to relieve that tension because whenever you cry, you relieve that tension that you have built up inside. Because whenever you hold your tears or whenever you held like your emotions of frustrations, of anger, of resentful, all those things are going to bubble up. All right. And if you don't cry, because I'm not saying, because I'm not telling you that, also you're telling me to be a crybaby. I'm not telling you to be a crybaby. I'm telling you to release those things, to release the stressfulness, to release the anger, all right? That revenge side that you have. Because let me tell you something, baby. Being resentful, being angry, being all that, that's not normal. You can be like resentful to perhaps to the situation that you have, perhaps in of not finding a job, or heck of the government, whatever. You can be resentful towards that, okay? You can be, okay? You can be resentful of that. Right? You can be angry of like the price is going up and nothing going down. You can be that. That's a good life actually. I also cry whenever I want to go to shopping and I see like my shampoo has gone 3, 4, 5 lempiras up and I'm like, what is going on? Am I not able to have a good decent shampoo? Am I going to wash my hair with hand soap? What's going on? What's going on? Right? Like, Jesus, the struggle these days, I'm not saying that you shouldn't become angry. I'm just saying that grabbing all that emotions and bottling up inside and never really exploring that and never really taking it off, then you become an angry person. And being angry all the time is not good. I know that there's dark short stories talking about like the angry person who is really cool, has all these emotions. He doesn't show emotions, especially the men. Because I know the patriarchy always tells the men that they shouldn't cry, they shouldn't do this. That's okay. I know the society right now has tell people that the society of the past and over now. I mean, not now, but like there's people growing those ideas that they think that they tell people they tell men that men don't cry. But I'm somebody who always thinks that crying is good because being angry all the time or respondingly angry to situations of normal situations, like for example, let's say that you're going to a restaurant and the dish that you wanted is not there, all right? You'll be like, yeah, I'm going to beat somebody up. No, I don't. That's not normal. That's not normal. Or I don't know, getting angry just because you hear somebody having like a loudspeaker. Like you can say, oh God, here we go again with the loudspeaker of this neighborhood. Where she'd be like, hey, what the hell? That's not normal. I know it's funny seeing other people doing that in videos and blah 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 and blah blah blah, right? I said blah blah intentionally, okay? But I know it's funny, but if you have that, I don't really think that's a good thing that you have that kind of mindset of getting angry just because things didn't work out. Whenever you become a parent to your parents, you're going to cry because you're going to see the pattern recognitions of the childhood that your parents had, and you'll be like, damn man, I actually live a good life better than the life that they have. But that's also, it's not an excuse of how they're treating you, right? But you should recognize why they're treating you this way and be like, oh fuck. And then you're like, okay, you can be forgiven. But I'm saying I'm not saying that you need to forgive them all the way, but like you can 50 forgive them, right? And from that forgiveness, you can say, let's try to become better. I mean, not me, you, right? As you as a parent. Not you becoming the parent. I mean, saying like your parents, okay? Not you, the parent. You know what I mean, right? Okay, great. It's not a good, it's a process, it's a long process, okay? I'm not telling you that, it's a long process. but we can do this, okay? We can do this. 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 Let grab my hands. Grab my hand. Wait, no. Grab my hands, baby. Grab my hands. Let's give a hug. Let's give a hug. A big hug. Yeah. That hug feels nice, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that feel. Yeah. It feels nice, huh? Yeah, we're going to bring a community of children becoming the parents of their parents, okay? What is that? What is going on, okay? Grab my hands. Grab my hands. Are they cold? No, they're not cold. Because I just closed my door room. And we are alone together in my room, baby. And we're going to become the parents of your parents. I mean, no, I'm not going to become the mother of your parents. That's going to be actually what is that? Or maybe, because I do recognize that even though I'm young, I do have certain characteristic of an old woman on her retired 60s and be like, oh, I mean, look at me how I dress. I mean, that's not how I dress regularly. I'm just like something that I wear from time to time in my house. Like, I don't leave my house that often, but right, my hands. We can do this together. All right? I believe in you, and we're going to create a safe and healthy environment. And when we grow old and the earth is still around, we're going to look at this and be like, man, we really did this. We really did create like a healthy household. That would be so lovely. That would be so lovely thinking about it. I'm just like giving goosebumps all over my body. So, anyways, good luck. Please tell me if you're in the process of doing this or you already did this and you know that the relationship has actually become better. Please tell me, because I love to hear it. I love hearing or reading actually people who already tried this and that it already worked for them, and I'm like, yes. So, oh, you just drop out there. What the heck? You just drop yourself there. I'm sorry, but thank you. But yeah, please tell me, and we got this, okay? High five, and 1, 2, 3. Ooh, no, that's a fucking fist bump. Okay, high five. 1, 2, 3. High five. 1, 2, 3. Yay. Bye.